mornings like these, I dream of a cabin to call home. Everything smells like wood, and when I look out the window, all I see is quiet, and all I hear is peace. I make myself a cup of coffee and listen to the birds, and study the trees and the flowers and the clouds. And even when it rains, it is beautiful. Hey you, welcome to my channel, A Year and a Day. My name is Jenny and this is Norway. And I struggle to put into words what these 3 weeks in this beautiful country have meant to me. So much has happened. I laughed, I cried, I stressed, I relaxed, I feared and I conquered. But most of all, I explored. I explored forests and fjords, beaches and waterfalls. I crossed wild rivers and rock formations. Stood on Preikestolen. Took a kayak for a spin. Dipped my feet in salt water. And stood in the snow. I sat in daylight at 3 a.m., drove over fjords and through mountains. And we did a lot of hiking, which was interesting. In the Netherlands where we live, there are hardly any hills, let alone mountains. So we have to travel to countries like Germany or Austria for that. And there we usually hike along clear trails and pathways. But not in Norway. Overgrown, grassy, muddy and swampy little trails were the norm, alternated with fields of boulders and waterfalls you needed to scramble across. And we absolutely loved it. I had to overcome my fear of heights on several occasions. But every day we were rewarded by the most beautiful views and scenery. And I would not have done half of it if it wasn't for my boyfriend, who is the true adventurer of us two. Me? I was already happy just being there. I hardly read any books or watched stuff on my iPad. All I wanted to do was be outside and soak it all in. And make every second count. Because in the back of my mind I knew this was only temporary. And before we knew it, we were back in our own crowded, flat country, but also back to our sweet little boots and to our garden, which was buzzing with life. And even though there was so much to be grateful for back home, I started missing Norway as soon as we left. I miss sitting on the rock behind our cabin in the morning sun I miss looking out the window and seeing a green woodpecker. And I missed writing with a view. So I allowed myself some retail therapy. On the drive home from Norway, we picked up this huge wooden writing chest I had spotted on an online second-hand website. It had belonged to a creative woman who loved to paint, but she had died years ago, and it had been in her son's garage ever since. It's ginormous, but I just couldn't resist. And it was the perfect place for a little Norway shrine. Norway has a take nothing, leave nothing rule, which prevented me from taking every pretty stone and shell I saw. But I did take 2 things from the rock behind our cabin. This lovely piece of stone and this perfect little pine cone. I bought this 2-piece geode in the Museum of Natural History in Bergen. And these postcards at Barony Roosendaal, a historic estate we visited. The fabric is actually a tea towel from Dutch brand Sissy Boy. And my Galen leather passport-sized traveler's notebook now holds a little Norway travel journal. John Muir's Book of Animals was the only book I read cover to cover while in Norway. His observations on animal life are so good, well written and funny. It was a perfect fit for our holiday. I wanted to keep my connection to nature and Norway alive for as long as possible. So I made sure a few new books were waiting for me at home when we returned. I decided to dive a little deeper into the writings of John Muir. The Wild Muir is a collection of 22 passages from Muir's books, selected by Lee Stetson. It was actually my intention to only read this one, but after I ordered it, I decided I wanted to read the full books as well. The Mountains of California is Muir's first book, published in 1894. My First Summer in the Sierra was published in 1911. It consists of journal entries taken in the summer of 1869. when Muir first traveled to the Sierra, accompanied by a flock of sheep. I figured a great way to stay connected to Norway's incredibly epic landscapes would be through the artwork of famous Norwegian painters. I know very little about the lives of Thomas Fjørnli and Peder Balke, so these books are a great opportunity for me to learn more about the lives of these artists, while enjoying their beautiful work in the process. So, let's move on to tarot. While in Bergen, I visited a shop called Witchy Bitchy, which I must admit I almost skipped because of the kitschy name. But it turned out to be a lovely little shop full of crystals and incense, and I was happy to pick up this version of the Rider-Waite-Smith in Norwegian. Even though this version is aesthetically not at all my favorite. The colors are super bright and the font of the text is just not working for me. I will definitely keep preferring my Centennial version of the RWS over this one because of the muted colors and Pixie's original font. But I just couldn't resist adding a little bit of Norway into my tarot collection, and I'm glad that I did. And I actually just realized how weirdly well this version of the RWS goes with the Outgrow Yourself Oracle and Tarot by Ekta Spåman. The colors match so well together, so maybe I will actually try to pair these two in the future. Back home, 2 new decks were waiting for me. The Hollow Valley deck of symbols by Erin Elise was published in 2018. And even though I had seen it before, I really fell in love with the beautiful artwork when I saw it again online last month. Importing it would have been super expensive, so I started searching for a webshop in Europe. And after a lot of digging online, I came across Roi de Coupe in France. They have an amazing collection of reasonably priced tarot and oracle decks. And I must admit, finding their shop was a bit like finding treasure. Turned out they also had the Roots and Wings Oracle by Kat Riles, which had been on my wish list for a while but was way too expensive for me to import. so of course I could not resist and ended up ordering both the Hollow Valley deck of symbols and the Roots and Wings oracle. Shipping was really reasonable and delivery was super quick, so I will definitely shop with Roi de Coupe again. Last but not least, let's move on to journaling. And this month, I would actually like to start with some of the cards I pulled. For the month of June, I pulled the Page of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, and Determination. And later on in the month, in relation to my day job, I pulled two cards, Transition and Metamorphosis. Now, while we are looking at some of the decks I used in June, let me admit something to you. I do not use tarot for divination. I use tarot and oracle as a tool for self-reflection and mindfulness. But let me tell you, when I pull cards that at the end of the month turn out to be more accurate than I could have ever imagined at the start, or match so well together and give such a clear and spot-on message, a huge smile appears on my face. I do not feel the need to explain it or attach it to any sort of belief for myself. I just appreciate it when my own down-to-earth, not so spiritual mind gets confronted by these magical moments in life. In June, the cards told me of a change that was coming, and even though I did not see it coming at the start of the month, the meaning surely became clear by the end of it. And even though I have no idea how my situation will turn out for me, I have no choice but to hold on, enjoy the ride, and see what July will have in store for me. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my ode to Norway and my June ramblings. And also, thanks so much for subscribing, liking, and commenting on my videos. It's really lovely to realize actual people are watching this. So don't shy away from sharing your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing from you. And I hope to see you next time. Bye!